Rotation. You keep pushing in a consistent direction. 3 turns, 4, 5, 6, the flywheel builds up speed. 7, 8, you keep pushing. 9, 10, it builds momentum. 11, 12, moving faster with each turn. 20, 30, 50, 100. Then at some point, breakthrough. The momentum of the thing kicks in your favor, hurling the flywheel forward, turn after turn, whoosh, its own heavyweight working for you. You're pushing no harder than the first rotation, but the flywheel goes faster and faster. Each turn of the flywheel builds upon work done earlier, compounding your investment of effort. 1,000 times faster, then 10,000, then 100,000. The huge heavy disc flies forward with almost unstoppable momentum. Now suppose someone came along and asked, what was the one big push that caused this thing to go so fast? You wouldn't be able to answer. It's a nonsensical question. Was it the first push? The second? The 5th? The 100th? No. It was all of them added together in an overall accumulation of effort applied in a consistent direction. Some pushes may have been bigger than others, but any single heave, no matter how large, reflects a small fraction of the entire cumulative effect upon the flywheel. From Good to Great, Why Some Companies Make the Leap, and Others Don't, by Jim Collins. Successful people do whatever it takes to get the job done, whether or not they feel like it. They understand that it is not any one single push on the flywheel, but the cumulative total of all their sequential, unfailingly consistent. 52. The slight edge. Pushes that eventually creates movement of such astonishing momentum in their lives. Successful people form habits that feed their success, instead of habits that feed their failure. They choose to have the slight edge working for them, not against them. They build their own dreams, rather than spend their lives building other people's dreams, and they achieve these dramatic results in their lives through making choices that are the very antithesis of drama, mundane, simple, seemingly insignificant choices. Every decision you make is a slight edge decision. What you're going to do, how you're going to act, what you're going to read, who you're going to chat with on the phone, what you're going to eat for lunch, who you're going to associate with, how you're going to treat your fellow workers, what you're going to get done today. Simply by making those right decisions, or making more of them, one at a time, over and over again, you will have enlisted the awesome power of the slight edge on your behalf. The unwanted circumstances, the poor results you've produced in the past, and the evidence of failures in your life, may all continue for a time. There may be no light at the end of the tunnel, or at least none you can see today. But by putting time on your side, you've marshaled the forces of the slight edge. Your success becomes inevitable. You just need to stay in the process long enough to give it a chance to win. It starts with a choice. Cultivating patience. Patience is a challenge for people who do not understand the slight edge. Often, in the beginning, the success path can be uncomfortable, even scary. Especially if you're the only one around who's on it. And with only 1 out of 20 people ever achieving their goals, it's quite likely that you will be the only one around on the path, at least for a while. Sometimes the path of success is inconvenient, and therefore easier not to do. For most people, it's easier to stay in bed. Getting on the path and staying on the path requires faith in the process, especially at the start. That makes you a pioneer. Pioneers don't know what's out there, but out there, they go anyway. That's why being a pioneer takes such courage. Courage means to have a purpose and to. Is time on your side? 53. Have heart. Once you are aware of and understand how to use the slight edge, you will naturally have both purpose and the strength of heart to stay on that purpose. The important point is to start on the path and to remember that no matter what has gone on before, you can begin fresh and new, and at any time you can choose to start with a clean slate. How long will it take? How long before you will actually see and feel, and smell and touch and be able to spin and enjoy and appreciate the results? How long before you will have the experience of the success you're seeking? Obviously, it's impossible for either of us to say exactly how long. But the truth is, in 3 to 5 years, You can put virtually anything in your life onto the right track. Think of what you were doing 3 years ago. It seems like yesterday, doesn't it? Well, 3 years from now, the things you're doing right now will seem like only yesterday, too. Yet this brief little period of time can change your life. How long will it take? Chances are it will take longer than you wanted to, and when the time arrives, you'll be astonished at how quick it seemed. Patience is not an issue for the water hyacinth. It simply goes about its business, calmly, quietly doubling, until it covers the pond. You can do the same. Serene, I fold my hands and wait. Nor care for wind, nor tide, nor sea. I rave no more against time or fate. For lo, my own shall come to me. John Burroughs, Waiting. The slight edge guarantees that your own shall come to you, like the water hyacinth covering the pond. The way your own shows up, good or bad, failure or success, win or lose, is, moment by moment, up to you. You need not care for wind, or tide, or sea, but you do need to care for those simple little actions which, compounded over time, will make the difference between your success or failure. The problem is that most of us live with one foot planted firmly in the past and the other tucked timidly in the future, never in the moment. In relation to everything, our kids, our health, our home, our career, we tick through the hours in constant regret and Monday morning quarterbacking about what's behind us, and with worry, anxiety and dread about what lies ahead. 54. The Slight Edge. The slight edge is all about living in the moment. For me personally, it is perhaps the hardest lesson to learn about the slight edge. You can't find it in the past or the future, only right here, right now. The reason Eckhart Tolle's modest little 1997 book on enlightenment, The Power of Now, took the marketplace by storm, selling over 2 million copies in 30 languages, is that his core message is one that everyone knows they need to hear: your life exists only in the moment. But you can't really absorb or live that truth through reading the book, you absorb and live that truth simply by being fully in the process of living your life, not regretting the past, not dreading the future. The slight edge is about your awareness. It is about you making the right choices, the choices that serve you and empower you, starting right now and continuing for the rest of your life, and learning to make them effortlessly. This book is about putting the slight edge to work for you, instead of against you. It's easy to do. And it's easy not to do. And if you don't do it, it won't kill you or destroy your chances for success today. But that simple error in judgment, compounded over time, will kill your chances for success. It will take you down and out of your life forever. And that choice is always yours. The choice of simple things, and the wisdom to make that choice. The wealthy man was right, the third gift is one that you can only claim, it's something nobody can give you. It's also something no one can take away from you. Key points of Chapter 3. The most powerful force for change is time. Position your daily actions so time is working for instead of against you. Because time will either promote you or expose you. What keeps you on the path is your slight edge philosophy, which includes your understanding of the secret of time. Knowing that if I stay on this path long enough I will get the results I want. In today's world, everyone wants to go directly from plant to harvest. The step we keep overlooking is the step of cultivating. And that, unlike planting and harvesting, takes place only through the patient dimension of time. The right choices you make today, compounded over time, will take you higher up the success curve. Is time on your side? 55. Success is not a race, it's a journey. For many years I wanted to be my own boss, and when the opportunity presented itself I started my first business. Unfortunately, after a few years the business failed and I lost everything. It was a pretty demoralizing experience and one that I like to deny responsibility for. Shortly afterwards I was given an audio copy of The Slight Edge and my eyes were opened. Although it seemed like my business had failed overnight, when I really thought about it nothing could have been further from the truth. For a long time I had been applying the slight edge in reverse, and the cumulative effect of that, as I found out, is devastating. I'm happy to say that since then I have been applying slight edge principles in the correct manner, and although it has taken a while, no one said it would be easy, did they? Things are now moving forward in a very positive direction. I have a beautiful wife, a lovely family, and my first children's book is being published this month, with a series of 12 planned over the next 2 years. The future for our family looks extremely bright, and I know from the bottom of my heart that this is down to consistent application of the slight edge. Mark Hibbets, author of Alfie Potson the Schoolboy Entrepreneur. I grew up in a middle-class family where I was taught to go to school, get good grades and get a good job. Unfortunately, my plan was derailed by some family medical circumstances that I could not control. At the age of 21, I found myself making $4.25 per hour working 6 days a week pursuing the philosophies of my parents. The slight edge opened my mind to new horizons as I realized my past did not have to equal my future. I now knew that with a slight change in activity and consistency, it was only a matter of time before I reached my true destiny. With these changes, I created a 6-figure income by the age of 30, and today I am a millionaire with 5 wonderful children and a beautiful wife to spend the rest of my life with. No matter what circumstances you find yourself in, by applying the slight edge principles over time, you can positively change the trajectory of your life. Dave Hall, Highland, Utah. Chapter 4. You have to start with a penny. A journey of 1,000 miles begins with a small step. Lao Tzu. I've presented the story of the penny doubled every day to hundreds and hundreds of audiences, and often I hear a comment like this: "Wow, that's amazing, to think that you could start with nothing and build a fortune." That's not quite accurate. You don't start with nothing. You start with a penny. No big deal. I mean, of course, you start with a penny, but, it's basically starting with nothing. No, it's not, it's starting with a penny. It may seem like an insignificant difference, although you're probably starting to have a little bit different view of the word insignificant. The truth is, it makes all the difference. To accomplish anything worth accomplishing, to create success, to achieve your dreams, you don't have to do impossible, extraordinary, superhuman things. But you have to do something. You have to start with a penny. Success doesn't come from nowhere. It can't be conjured up out of thin air. It comes from a very small, tiny beginning, but there has to be a beginning. That beginning is the thing people miss, the thing they don't see. And they don't see it because it's so tiny, it's almost invisible. 58. The slight edge. Some of the largest companies in the world started out as nothing. Take Facebook, for example. Mark Zuckerberg started with just a concept, a penny, in his small Harvard dorm room, and today it has become the largest social networking site on the internet, with over 500 million users. But in the beginning stages, when it was just a penny, Mark Zuckerberg believed in it enough to continue to take consistent action in building his vision, no matter if people believed in his penny or not. A dead broke, struggling young English teacher named Steve had started writing a story about a troubled high school girl. Within a handful of pages, he realized the story wasn't working out and tossed the pages in the trash. Why add yet one more to his large and growing stack of rejection notices? The next day, as Steve's wife was doing some straightening up, she bent down to empty his trash basket and happened to notice the curled little sheaf of papers. She straightened them out, dusted off the cigarette ashes, read them and took them to Steve. She thought he maybe had something worth finishing. She was right. He did finish it, and the paperback rights sold for nearly $500,000. What's more, his story of the troubled schoolgirl named Carrie launched Stephen King's career. He became the most successful writer in the 20th century. What Tabitha King recognized in the trash may have been a tarnished penny, but still, it was a penny. One chilly day in December 1955, an unknown 42-year-old seamstress in Montgomery, Alabama, decided she'd had enough. She was tired after a long day's work. Most of all, she was tired of being treated the way she was, and tired of every other person of her color being treated that way, too. So when she was told to give up her bus seat to a white passenger, she refused, even when the bus driver threatened her with arrest. It was no idle threat. She was arrested, then convicted and fined for violating a city ordinance. Her case was the catalyst for the formation of a new civil rights organization. On the same day of the woman's hearing, the newly formed Montgomery Improvement Association elected a young and relatively unknown minister named Martin Luther King Jr. to be its spokesperson, launching a movement that over the next decade abolished legal segregation and radically transformed the face of the nation. Rosa Parks was a penny. You have to start with a penny 59. The Slight Edge reader James Paris of Daytona Beach, Florida, knows the power of the penny. 6 years ago I learned that my accountant had embezzled $2 million from our company. I ended up in bankruptcy and languished in depression for 5 years. About 6 months ago I purchased the Slight Edge and I was able to find the motivation to just take a small step every day toward rebuilding my life. Now I am back on TV and radio and writing again. I have rebuilt my website christianmoney.com and have had multiple financial breakthroughs. I realized that I could not change my past but that I could rebuild a new future by taking just a small step every day in the right direction, just like the power of the penny. In just a few months I am well on the way to regaining the success I had prior to losing everything. Let's do one more bit of time travel. There was a time, a certain number of years ago, when a tiny blob of gelatin began to pulse with hidden potential. It was barely more than a speck of matter, about the thickness of a dollar bill, at the very threshold of human sight. Any smaller and it would have been invisible to the naked eye. Though tiny, this insignificant little dot of matter, you could have fit about 20 of them on the head of a pen, contained chemical instructions that, if printed out, would have filled more than 500,000 pages. In fact, it was among the most organized, complex structures in the universe. Over the next 9 months of slight edge compounding, this little blob of gelatin would blossom into over 30 trillion cells before being born into the open air, and letting out a wail as it took its first breath. It would become you. You started as a penny. A penny for your thoughts. Now imagine that instead of a penny doubling every day, it's your health that you're increasing by 1 penny's worth, and then by 2 pennies, and then 4. If you could come up with something that would make you feel 1 penny's worth better, could you do that every day? Of course. A little moderate exercise, a brisk 1-mile walk, a quarter of an hour on a treadmill, not going that fast. Get your heart rate up slightly, no big deal. And your reward? When you get up the next morning, do you feel better? 60. The slight edge. Not really. I mean, not noticeably. Maybe just a little, say, a penny's worth. Hardly seems worth the effort. And after a week, you're feeling 64 cents worth better. Big deal. You've had to put up with some rainy weather, walk through a few stiff muscles, and miss your favorite news program. Hey, it's really not worth it. But what if you kept doing it anyway? Would you eventually feel like $1 million? No, you'd feel like 10 million. But you need to start with a penny. Now imagine that penny is your knowledge. If I told you that reading Napoleon Hill's Think and Grow Rich it would change your life, would you sit down and read it, cover to cover, today? Mind you, that's a 256-page book, and those aren't lightweight pages. Or another classic, Stephen Covey's The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. That's a 358-pager, and it's not easy reading. Would you read either one in a single day? I doubt it. I wouldn't. I can't spend the entire day reading, and I'll bet you can't either. But could you read a penny's worth, say, 10 pages? Actually, at current used book prices on Amazon.com, 10 pages of the Hill book would cost about 50 cents, and 10 pages of the Covey book would run about 10 cents, but I'm using the penny here as a metaphor. I don't know how much you would get out of 10 pages, maybe a lot, maybe nothing. Let's say you get nothing. But if you could read 10 pages today, could you read 10 more tomorrow? Of course you could, anyone who can read could do that. And if you do that, and you keep it up every day for a year, you will have read about a dozen brilliant, life-transforming classics. Your mind will be filled with the strategies and know-how to create a startling new level of success. You will have thoughts of millionaires, all from a penny. But you need to start with a penny. Let's get real. Okay, doubling a penny in a story is all very well. But I don't see anyone offering to double my money every day for a month, not in real life. Besides, even if I could get compound interest on a money account, how am I supposed to add up compound interest in health, or relationships, or knowledge? Fair enough. Let's change the question. Forget about doubling for a minute, and let's forget about compound interest, too, for the moment. Let's just add a penny every day, not double the penny. Do you think you could improve? You have to start with a penny 61. Yourself, your health, your knowledge, your skills, your diet, your relationships, whatever area of life you want to look at, just 1%? Wait, before you answer that, let's make it even smaller. What if you were able to improve yourself, today, just 0.3%? That's a 0.003 improvement, a very slight edge indeed. So slight, in fact, you might have a hard time even knowing how to measure it. Now, what if you did that again tomorrow, and the next day, and kept it up every day for the next year? Remember, you're not going to add up compound interest this time, you're just adding on another 0.3% each day. Here's what will happen. The first day you'll improve by 0.003, so little it will probably be impossible to notice. The second day, your improvement will be 0.006, the next day, 0.009, almost a full 1%. And by the end of the year, you will have improved by 100%. Doubled. You will be twice what you are today, twice as fit, twice as wealthy, twice as skilled, twice as happy, twice as whatever it is you've been working on, in whatever areas you apply your daily 0.3% effort. Twice the you, in just 1 year. If you give yourself a year to do it, you can become twice the person you are today. Imagine having twice the net worth, twice the personal relationships, twice the health. Making twice the positive impact on the world. Having twice as much fun and enjoying twice the quality of life. How could you possibly accomplish this? By trying twice as hard? Working twice as many hours? Have double the positive attitude? No, by improving 0.3% at a time. Every day, in every moment, you get to exercise choices that will determine whether or not you will become a great person, living a great life. Greatness is not something predetermined, predestined or carved into your fate by forces beyond your control. Greatness is always in the moment of the decision. But you have to start with a penny. And that's the great and tragic irony of it, the sad and terrible tale of the 95%, that little penny seems so insignificant, so small, so silly, why even bother to bend over and pick it up? After all, can you imagine walking into your bank to deposit a single penny into a savings account? Can you imagine looking in your savings account, deposit box or piggy bank, and finding a balance of 1 cent? It might as well be a balance of 62. The slight edge. 0, right? How much difference is there, right? I mean, we're talking about 1 penny. What could you buy with a penny? Key points of Chapter 4. To accomplish anything worth accomplishing, to create success, to achieve your dreams, you don't have to do impossible, extraordinary, superhuman things. But you have to do something. You have to start with a penny. Do you think you could improve yourself, your health, your knowledge, your skills, your diet, your relationships, whatever area of life you want to look at, just 1%? The power of the penny. Read how the Slight Edge readers started with a penny and ended up accomplishing amazing things. My husband was an undercover narcotics officer in Chicago. He had a horrible accident at work when he was hit by a semi. This ended his career at 39. The main artery to his heart burst, he lost a lung, liver and his kidneys failed. He was in a coma for 6 weeks and spent 7 months on life support. He came home after a year, in a wheelchair and on oxygen. There began a journey that God put me on. The following year we had no income as we waited for his disability hearings to complete. We nearly lost our home and were up to our ears in debt to everyone, everywhere. We were living the slight edge as we worked our way through small accomplishments, like just standing for 3 seconds and noting this on a calendar, going without oxygen for a minute, noting that, etc., until he made a miraculous recovery, which even his doctors and nurses are amazed at. This is the slight edge and the power of starting with a penny at its best. Lynn Lionhood, Orland Park, Illinois. My daughter had health complications a few years back, which left her on 6 or 7 different medications. These of course created severe weight gain. After reading The Slight Edge, I suggested that she ride her stationary bike every day to help her drop some weight. At first she could only do 3 minutes, then 5, then 8, and so on. Eventually she progressed up to 20 minutes. After a year, it seemed like, all of a sudden, my daughter lost 25 pounds and we are all in shock, wondering what is happening. It took me a moment, but then I realized it was the power of the slight edge, 15 minutes a day. Valerie Thomas, Yedden, Pennsylvania. You have to start with a penny. 63. After suffering a stroke, Al Lewis of Illinois looked to lessons he learned from the slight edge to prove his doctor's initial diagnosis that he would probably never walk again wrong. When Al started his recovery process, he could barely move and had lost the ability to speak. He knew if he wanted to get back to the life he enjoyed before the stroke, he would have to stay focused on improving a tiny bit each day, and not get bogged down in his current circumstances. Here is an excerpt from what Al Lewis shared with the Loyola Living Medical Journal, where he was featured for his impressive recovery. The slight edge taught me that if you do a little bit each day, a little bit, you can make progress, great progress. I applied that philosophy to my rehabilitation. I started moving my fingers, a little bit. Then my hand, and then my arm a little bit. Now I go bike riding and I spend 30 minutes on an elliptical trainer. It all starts with just a little bit. Now my doctors tell me that although half of patients with my kind of stroke don't survive, when they look at me they can't even tell I have had a stroke. I had faith throughout the entire rehabilitation process that if I could just improve 0.003% each day compounded over time, I would make a full recovery. Today Al has made a full recovery, including walking and talking, and has been able to return to his passions of playing music and speaking to audiences. Al serves as a shining example for all of us to look past our current circumstances and to focus on where we want to go by improving little by little. Chapter 5. The Quantum Leap Myth. Someday. Someday, when my ship comes in. Someday, when I have the money. Someday, when I have the time. Someday, when I have the skill, the confidence. How many of those statements have you said to yourself? Have I got some shocking news for you? Someday doesn't exist, never has, and never will. There is no someday. There's only today. When tomorrow comes, it will be another today, so will the next day. They all will. There is never anything but today. And some more shocking news, your ship's not coming, it's already here. Docked and waiting. You already have the money. You already have the time. You already have the skill, the confidence. You already have everything you need to achieve everything you want. You just can't see it. Why not? Because you're looking in the wrong place. You're looking for the breakthrough, the quantum leap. You're looking for the winning lottery ticket in a game that isn't a lottery. Have you ever noticed that when you read stories about lottery winners, they are hardly ever bank presidents, successful entrepreneurs, or corporate executives? That they never seem to be people who were already financially 66. The slight edge. Successful before they bought that winning ticket? Have you ever wondered why? It's because successful people never win the lottery. Why not? Because they don't buy lottery tickets. Successful people have already grasped the truth that lottery players have not. Life is not a lottery. Success is not a random accident. Greek gods and real heroes. In ancient Greek theater, characters generally got themselves into as much of a mess as the playwright could possibly dream up. Everything would be headed for an absolutely impossible disaster when, in the last few minutes of the play, An actor playing a god would come floating down from the sky to make everything right, banishing this character and reinstating that one, punishing another and granting divine clemency to still another, explaining the inexplicable and solving the insoluble. Things would be in such a mess, there'd be no way a human being could sort the stuff out. Obviously, it would have to take a being with divine powers. And just like in a stage production of Peter Pan, the actor would be suspended by ropes and a system of pulleys, a mechanical contrivance they termed a machine, or machina. Today, thousands of years later, people still refer to a last-minute cheat solution for an impossible problem coming out of thin air as a deus ex machina, or God dropping in out of nowhere by a machine, the supernatural breakthrough force that pops in just to make all things right. And by the way, when critics say a play, novel or film uses a deus ex machina, it's not a compliment. It's their way of saying, oh yeah, right. Couldn't come up with a real solution, huh? So you had to trot in a deus ex machina? Gimme a break. And that is just what it is people are hoping for, a break. The big break. The lucky break. The breakthrough. A break in the routine, a break with reality. A deus ex machina. But that's not how things really work. Okay, then, how do things really work? Look at some of the real-world problems that would have made Athena or Apollo or any other deity of Greek drama pull their hair out. William Wilberforce spent his entire career introducing bill after bill to his colleagues in the British Parliament in his efforts to end slavery, only to have them defeated one after the other. From 1788 to 1806, he introduced a new anti-slavery motion and watched it fail every single year for 18 years in a row. Finally, 3 days before Wilberforce's death in 1833, Parliament passed a bill to abolish slavery not only in England but also throughout its colonies. 3 decades later, a similar bill would pass in the United States, spearheaded by the Quantum Leap Myth 67. Another man of conscience who had also spent much of his life failing, Abraham Lincoln's Emancipation Proclamation. Deus ex machina? Far from it. These were human problems, and they had human solutions. But the only access to them is through the slight edge. Of course, Wilberforce and Lincoln were not the sole figures in this heroic struggle, and even after their bills were passed into law on both sides of the Atlantic, the evils of slavery and racism were far from over. But their efforts, like Mother Teresa's efforts to end poverty, Gandhi's to end colonial oppression, or Martin Luther King's and Nelson Mandela's to end racism, are classic examples of what breakthrough looks like in the real world. All of these real-life heroes understood the slight edge. None of them were hypnotized by the allure of the big break. If they had been, they would never have continued taking the actions they took, and what would the world look like today? One small step. Our cultural mythology, the philosophy our society subscribes to as a group, worships the breakthrough even when we don't realize that's what we're doing. One small step for a man, nonsense. That wasn't one small step, the guy was on the moon. That was one gigantic step for man, a genuine breakthrough. The small step was when some guy, someone you and I never heard of, first started tinkering with design ideas for how a rocket ship might withstand the intense conditions of space flight. There were thousands, hundreds of thousands, millions of one small steps for years and years beforehand that all went into that epic 1969 leap of Neil Armstrong's that was televised throughout the world, and is still played over and over in our culture as one of the most deeply ingrained news bites of history. But we don't celebrate any of those real small steps. We don't even know what they are, or who made them. The myth of our culture is the giant step, the larger-than-life leap, the heroic effort. Faster than a speeding bullet, able to, wait, how does that go again? Is it, able to take small, insignificant, incremental steps, consistently, over time? No, it's able to leap tall buildings in a single bound. I mean, what kind of Superman would take tiny steps? The kind who wins. Like Edison and his light bulb. There's a popular expression these days, luck is preparedness meeting opportunity. It's a nifty little saying, and it's close, but in my experience, it isn't quite accurate. Luck is preparedness, period. Preparedness through doing. Thanks God bless you for subscribing to me. 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 Thanks God to life, love and happiness. We are out of luck in that department because there is no universal, one-size-fits-all method to anything. However, the Slight Edge Philosophy 27. The secret ingredient. However, there is a secret ingredient. There is a secret that, once you know it, will cause you to find those answers, apply them, live them, and achieve those results you want. The secret ingredient is your philosophy. The secret is to change the way you think. Once you do, then you will take the steps you need to take, to lead you to the how-tos you need. If you don't change your thinking, no amount of how-tos will offer a real solution. It's not the hows, it's how you do the hows. This isn't about self-hypnosis, or about conjuring up the impossible through sheer positive thinking, or any other kind of hocus-pocus. And I'm not talking about some complex, elaborate or heady system of ideas. And, although I'll completely understand if you find the last part of this sentence truly difficult to believe, what I'm talking about is not difficult to do. It simply means changing your thinking. Your philosophy. The reason diets and other how-tos don't work for most people is the same reason most how-to books and courses don't work for most people. It isn't that the actions are wrong. It's that people don't keep doing them. Focusing on the actions, the what-to-dos and the how-to-do-its, is not enough, because it's the attitude behind the actions that keeps those actions in place. Aha! It's attitudes. So, what I need is an attitude adjustment. No, that won't necessarily do it either. Your emotions change. You can't dictate how you feel. No matter how much you may tell yourself to feel positive about this how-to step or that how-to step, what if you just don't? Today, you're excited about getting fit. You feel like doing your 20 minutes on the treadmill. Great. But what if tomorrow you just don't feel like doing it? To find the path to success, you have to back up one more step. It's the understanding behind the attitudes that are behind the actions. It's the philosophy. That's the secret ingredient. Your philosophy is what you know, how you hold it, and how it affects what you do. That's what this book is about. Yes, you have to know the winning how-to actions, and you have to possess the winning attitudes, but what generates all that and keeps it all in place is your philosophy. 28. The Slight Edge. Your philosophy. S E T A E R C. Your attitude, your actions, your results. S E T A E R C. Your life. A positive philosophy turns into a positive attitude, which turns into positive actions, which turn into positive results, which turn into a positive lifestyle. A negative philosophy turns into a negative attitude, which turns into negative actions, which turn into negative results, which turn into a negative lifestyle. Life wisdom. What do I mean by philosophy? Not something lofty or abstract, not something you need to go to graduate school or learn Greek to understand. I mean something so simple, so basic, a 6-year-old child can understand it. Here is an example. Do the thing, and you shall have the power. Ralph Waldo Emerson, Compensation. Profoundly simple and just as powerful. The sort of wisdom you can actually apply in everyday life. Nike simplified it for the MTV generation, just do it, but I like the Emerson version better, and we'll be using it a good deal later on when we talk about applying the slight edge to your life. There are two prevalent types of attitudes, entitled and value-driven. A value-driven attitude says, "What can I do to help you?" An entitled attitude says, "What have you done for me lately?" An entitled attitude says, "Pay me more, and then maybe I'll work harder." A value-driven attitude says, "I'll work harder, and then I expect you'll pay me more." Which of these attitudes is driven by Emerson's philosophy, do the thing and you'll have the power? Your philosophy is what you know, how you hold what you know, and how it affects what you do. You can look at anyone's actions and trace back, through the attitudes behind those actions, to their source, the philosophy behind the attitudes. Show me what a man does, and I'll show you what his philosophy is. The Slight Edge Philosophy 29. Here's another example of a life philosophy. The formula for success is quite simple. Double your rate of failure. Thomas J. Watson, Sr., founder of IBM. We are not taught that the key to success is to double your rate of failure. On the contrary, we're taught to avoid failure like the plague. Failure is not an option. Really? It had better be an option. It had better be, because whether or not you consider it an option, it's going to happen. If you go through life with the philosophy that failure is not an option, then you'll never have any good opportunities to learn. Which won't really matter anyway, because if failing is not an option, chances are you won't even try in the first place. If Babe Ruth had had the philosophy, failure is not an option, then you and I would have never heard of him. Why? Because not only did Babe Ruth set a world record for home runs, he also led the league in strikeouts. Michael Jordan, considered by many as one of the greatest basketball players of all time, winning 6 NBA titles with the Chicago Bulls, didn't make the varsity team as a sophomore because they thought he was too small. The next 2 years he grew 4 inches, honed his game, and the rest, as they say, is history. Abraham Lincoln had an extraordinary record of lost elections and public office failures over the course of his career. For the ungainly lawyer from Illinois, failure was not only an option, it was practically his specialty. If it hadn't been, he would never have made it to the White House. And it's hard to imagine just what our lives would be like today if Thomas Edison had subscribed to the failure is not an option philosophy. In his efforts to find a stable filament to make his electric light bulb invention work, he tried out thousands of different versions and every single one failed. His comment, "I have not failed. I've simply discovered 10,000 ways that don't work." Successful people fell their way to the top. The Slight Edge Philosophy. Your philosophy is your view of life, something beyond feelings and attitudes. Your philosophy drives your attitudes and feelings, which drive your actions. By and large, people are looking in the wrong places. They are looking for a breakthrough, looking for that amazing quantum leap. The philosophy of the 30. The Slight Edge. Craps table and roulette wheel. I don't believe they'll ever find it. I've had colossal failures, and I've had remarkable successes, and my experience is, neither one happens in quantum leaps. They happen through the slight edge. The purpose of this book is to have you understand the slight edge philosophy, to make it part of how you see the world and how you live your life every day. To understand patience, to understand that little steps, compounded, do make a difference. That the things you do every single day, the things that don't look dramatic, that don't even look like they matter, do matter. That they not only make a difference, they make all the difference. Throughout this book, if you look carefully, you'll find at least a dozen statements, and if you look really closely, many dozens, that embody this philosophy. Statements such as "do the thing, and you shall have the power." Here are a few more examples that you'll come across in the following pages. Success is the progressive realization of a worthy ideal. Successful people do what unsuccessful people are not willing to do. There is a national progression to everything in life: plant, cultivate, harvest. Here's a suggestion that can maximize how much you get out of this book, that is, not only reading it, but also absorbing it and applying it in your life. Every time you come to a fundamental statement of philosophy, highlight it. Then go back regularly and read through just those highlighted sections, your own personal guide to the slight edge philosophy. The slight edge is also the philosophy embodied in the 3 stories you read in the beginning of this book. It is understanding the tremendous potential of something as seemingly insignificant as a penny. It is knowing how to recognize and harness the power of the water hyacinth. It's having faith in the process of simple, positive actions repeated over time, the faith that miracles do happen, if you know when to trust the process and keep churning the cream. Just add life and stir. The slight edge philosophy is the missing ingredient you need for all the personal development books, how-tos and life guides to work. If you don't grasp the truth of the slight edge, then no matter what health books you read, you're not going to be willing to do the little things that lead. The Slight Edge Philosophy 31. You to a healthy life. No matter what you learn, no matter how many books you read, CDs you listen to, or seminars you attend, if you don't absorb this philosophy of simple steps and their compounded effect over time, you won't successfully apply those things you learn to create the results you want. The Slight Edge will help you apply all the information you learn from the health book, the sales book, the investment book, the positive attitude book. The Slight Edge is the book you need to read, highlight and reread along with your fitness class, your career planning, your continuing education and pursuit of new skills. The Slight Edge will prepare you to be able to absorb all that other information, guidance and education from all those other books, classes, situations and experiences. Whatever your deepest desires are in life, I want you to have them, and I know you can. That is my passionate belief, and I've seen it happen too many times to doubt it. But you need a place to start. The Slight Edge is that starting point. It's the first ingredient. Key points of Chapter 1. People everywhere are clamoring for the formula, the secret ingredient, the path to improve their lives. The secret ingredient is your philosophy, what you know, how you hold it and how it affects what you do. Once you change the way you think, then you can take the steps that will lead you to the how-tos. The things you do every day, the things that don't look like they matter, do matter. They not only make a difference, they make all the difference. Apply the Slight Edge principles and stir. I have used the principles of the Slight Edge to improve my physical fitness, starting with 1 push-up and 1 sit-up a day, adding another each day and building to over 100 per day. I have used it to help pay off debt, build my savings and investments, and improve my relationships with my children. Stan Snow, North Yarmouth, Maine. 32. The Slight Edge. I have applied the Slight Edge principles in so many areas of life. Chunking every project into annual goals, monthly outcomes, weekly agendas and daily disciplines has helped me accomplish massive improvements in every area of life, from health to relationships, to communication skills, to finances. By identifying the daily disciplines in every area of life, I was able to move from cancer to outstanding health, from non-communication with siblings to best friends, from struggling as a single mom to creating a net worth of over $1 million. The Slight Edge principles, compounded over time, will make a massive shift in any area we choose. Linda Ketty, Destin, Florida. By applying the principles of the Slight Edge, I've lost 35 pounds in just 3 months, and am still going strong. I'm also working the principles into my job, part-time pursuits and every area of my life. I have quit focusing as much on the goals, and am focusing more on the little things I do every day, since I can control those. Richard Green, Franklin, Tennessee. After reading the Slight Edge, I decided to apply the philosophies into every area of my life. As a father, I bought a copy for my kids and started imparting the wisdom of things that are easy to do, easy not to do. As a doctor, I started giving my patients who were dealing with hopelessness a copy of the book. I tell them it is Prozac in paperback. As an author, I implemented the Slight Edge principles into my books as well. For every role in your life, there are Slight Edge applications that will make a huge difference. Baker 4, Edmund, OK. Chapter 2. The Secret of Easy Things. 'Tis a gift to be simple, 'tis a gift to be free. 'Tis a gift to come down where you ought to be. And when we find ourselves in the place just right, 'twill be in the valley of love and delight. Traditional Shaker Ham. Have you ever met a really successful person? You know whom I mean, that woman with the easy, engaging smile, the one who makes you feel instantly at ease, even as you stand in awe of her accomplishments. The guy who's always dressed for success, who looks great even when he isn't trying, and somehow makes you feel better about yourself just being in his presence. People who not only are successful, but also seem to breathe success and fill the space around them with it. They live in beautiful homes, travel to exciting places, fly first class, are surrounded by people who love them and admire them, are appreciated, respected and recognized, happy, healthy, creative and fulfilled. Winners in the game of life. Why do some families have such great relationships, such warmth and fun and caring closeness, while others are perennially angry with each other, so distrustful and distant they might as well live on different planets? Why are some people positive and upbeat while others are miserably negative, constantly complaining and criticizing? 34. The slight edge. Why is it some people never seem to manage the time to stay in shape, while others run a few miles each day even though their lives are just as busy? Why are some people digging deeper and deeper into debt, while others just keep earning more money? Why is it that some people seem to make dream after dream come true, while others spend their lives building someone else's dream? Why are some people successful, and some people failures? What's the difference, really? What do successful people do? You've probably read and heard lots of statistics. Happy versus unhappy marriages, health versus illness, how many retirees barely survive on fixed incomes versus how many reach their golden years in comfort and security. There are 101 ways to measure it, but if you simply look around you, you can see it, most of us aren't making it. My observation is that about 1 person in 20 is achieving a significant measure of his or her goals in life, financial, professional, personal, marital, spiritual, in terms of health, in whatever terms you want to look at. 95% are either failing or falling short. What are the 5% doing that the 95% are not? There is only one difference. It is not heredity, education, looks, talent or inheritance. It is not preparedness meeting opportunity, and it's not chance, either. They all understand the slight edge and how it is working for or against them. If you will learn to understand and apply the slight edge, I will guarantee you that in time, and chances are, less time than you would imagine, you will have what you desire. You will be among the 5%. You will be successful. And you will achieve those aims, goals and dreams by doing simple things. A bold claim, I know, and I make it only because I know it's true. I've seen it too many times to doubt it. If you learn to understand and apply the slight edge, your life will become filled with hundreds of thousands of small, seemingly insignificant actions, all of them easy to do, none of them mysterious, complex or difficult. And those actions will create your success. That's what successful people do, simple things that are easy to do. The secret of easy things. 35. Simple things. Wait a minute. How are these simple, everyday actions supposed to create all this wonderful happiness, health and success for me, if they're all easy to do, if anyone could do them? If these are things anyone can do, why are only 5% successful? Excellent question. Because they're all also easy not to do, and while anyone could do them, most won't. Fundamentally, we all take pretty much the same actions every day. We eat, sleep, think, feel, talk and listen. We have relationships and friendships. We each have 24 hours a day, 8,760 hours a year, and we each fill these hours one way or the other with a sequence of little tasks and actions, any one of which is seemingly insignificant. Gold medal marathon runners eat and sleep. So do people who are 30 pounds overweight. Successful entrepreneurs think and feel and have relationships with other people. So do those who are unemployed or even living on the streets. People who make lots of money read books. People who are broke read books, too. The successful and unsuccessful both do the same basic things in their lives, day in and day out. Yet the things successful people do take them to the top, while the things unsuccessful people do take them down and out. So what's the difference? The difference is their awareness, understanding and use of the slight edge in their life and work. Successful winners understand the slight edge. Unsuccessful people do not. The difference that will make all the difference between success and failure, Between achieving the quality of life you want and settling for less than you desire and deserve, lies 100% in which of those little, insignificant actions you choose to do. This is why we are all capable of doing what it takes to be successful. We are all capable of being winners, and yes, that includes you. The slight edge is always working. For you or against you, the slight edge is already, always at work in all our lives. The purpose of this book is to help you become aware of it, how it is working in your life, every day, every hour, every moment, in every step you take and every choice you make. Easy to do, easy not to do. Everything you need to do to transform your life is easy to do. It's easy to become healthy, fit and vibrant. It's easy to become financially 36. The slight edge. Independent. It's easy to have a happy family and a life rich with meaningful friendships. Tapping into the slight edge means doing things that are easy. Simple little disciplines that, done consistently over time, will add up to the very biggest accomplishments. It's easy to have everything you ever wanted in your life. Every action you need to take to make any and all of your dreams come true is easy. So why is it, then, that the masses are unhappy, unhealthy and financially bound? Every action that any of these goals requires is easy to do. Here's the problem: every action that is easy to do, is also easy not to do. Why are these simple yet crucial things easy not to do? Because if you don't do them, they won't kill you, at least, not today. You won't suffer, or fail or blow it, today. Something is easy not to do when it won't bankrupt you, destroy your career, ruin your relationships or wreck your health, today. What's more, not doing it is usually more comfortable than doing it would be. But that simple, seemingly insignificant error in judgment, compounded over time, will kill you. It will destroy you and ruin your chances for success. You can count on it. It's the slight edge. That's the choice you face every day, every hour, a simple, positive action, repeated over time. A simple error in judgment, repeated over time. You can always count on the slight edge. And unless you make it work for you, the slight edge will work against you. Invisible results. If I could have had a magic wand that day in the Phoenix airport as I sat thinking and having my shoes shined, one of the first things I would have done would have been to wave it at the little pile of paperbacks. I would have waved the wand and presto. Now there would be a little reading table piled with Napoleon Hill, James Allen, Stephen Covey and George S. Clason. Because the simple truth is, how you feed your mind is every bit as critical to your happiness as how you feed your body. Seeing how naturally open-minded and intellectually curious the shoeshine woman was, I have no doubt she would have dove into any one of these books with gusto. But then we would have run into a problem. The Secret of Easy Things 37. Everything you need to know to be successful, every how-to, every practical action, is already written in books like these. Here's a slight edge action guaranteed to change your life. Read just 10 pages of a good book, a book aimed at improving your life, every day. If you read 10 pages of a good book today, will your life change? Of course not. If you don't read 10 pages of a good book today, will your life fall apart? Of course not. I could tell my shoeshine friend that if she would agree to read 10 pages of one of these good books every single day, over time, she could not help but accumulate all the knowledge she'd ever need to be as successful as she ever wanted to be, successful enough to send her daughter to that cheerleading camp and hey, to send her to the best college in the country if she wanted. Like a penny over time, reading 10 pages a day would compound, just like that, and create a $10 million bank of knowledge in her. Would she do it? On day 1, sure. And day 2. And maybe day 3. But would she still be doing it by the end of the week? If she did keep reading, over the course of the year she would have read 3,650 pages, the equivalent of 1 or 2 dozen books of life-transforming material. Would her life have changed? Absolutely. No question. But here, back in week 1, all that's still an invisible result. And that is exactly why most people never learn to recognize or understand the slight edge. The reason most people never learned how to make the slight edge work for them, and why the slight edge ends up working against them. When you make the right choice, you won't see the results. At least, not today. We live in a result-focused world. We expect to see results, and we expect to see them now. Push the button, the light flicks on. Step on the scale, look in the mirror, check the account balance online 24/7. Give me feedback, trip a sensor, hit a buzzer, tell me it's working. But that's not how success is built. Success is the progressive realization of a worthy ideal. Progressive means success is a process, not a destination. It's something you experience gradually, over time. Failure is also just as gradual. In fact, the difference between success and failure is so subtle, you can't even see it or recognize it during the process. And here's how real success is built: by the time you get the feedback, the real work's already done. When you get to the point where everyone else can see your results, tell you what good choices you've made. 38. The slight edge. Notice your good fortune, slap you on the back and tell you how lucky you are. The critical slight edge choices you made are ancient history. And chances are, at the time you actually made those choices, nobody noticed but you. And even you wouldn't have noticed, unless you understood the slight edge. Invisible results. The cost of waiting. I'm sure you've heard about the power of compounding interest before. In fact, you've probably heard about it many times. What makes this time different? Nothing, unless you act on it. The single most important thing I can tell you about the slight edge is this: it's already working, right now, either for you or against you. So don't wait. My hope for you, my request for you, is that before you reach the last page of this book, you will have put in place a slight edge financial plan for yourself so that you are consistently building your equity. Some simple, daily, or weekly, or monthly, discipline that, over time, will buy your financial freedom. Easy to do? Surprisingly so. Easy not to do? Tragically so. To give you a sense of the cost of waiting, look at the following example. Let's say you and your best friend are both 24 years old, you both read the slight edge and decide you'd like to start putting away $2,000 a year into an IRA so you'll retire at age 65 with over $1 million. Your friend starts doing it now. You wait. You don't get around to it this year, or next, or the next. In fact, you procrastinate for the next 6 years. At the beginning of year 7, you ask your friend how his IRA is doing. You are stunned when he tells you that he's finished. After investing $2,000 a year for 6 years at 12%, he's all set. By the age of 65, the little financial ball he's started rolling will have snowballed into over $1 million, even if he never puts in another penny. That's it, you decide, it's time for action. You start putting in your $2,000 each year. How many years will it take before you've caught up to your friend? In other words, by what age will you be able to stop investing your annual $2,000, like he did? You can't believe your eyes when you see the answer. You're going to have to keep investing that $2,000 every single year until the age of 62. Your 6 years of procrastination has cost you 33 years of investing. That's 27 more years and $54,000 more invested just to arrive at the same place. The secret of easy things. 39. The cost of waiting. Your friend you. Age payment total. 24 $2,000 $2,240 00 25 $2,000 $4,749 00 26 $2,000 $7,559 00 27 $2,000 $10,706 00 28 $2,000 $14,230 00 29 $2,000 $18,178 00 30 $20,359 $2,000 $2,240 31 0 20 $2,803 $2,000 $4,749 32 0 $25,539 $2,000 $7,559 33 0 $28,603 $2,000 $10,706 34 0 30 $2,036 $2,000 $14,230 35 0 $35,880 $2,000 $18,178 36 0 $40,186 $2,020 $2,599 37 0 $45,008 $2,000 $27,551 38 0 $50,409 $2,000 $33,097 39 0 $56,458 $2,000 $39,309 40 0 $63,233 $2,000 $46,266 41 0 $70,821 $2,000 $54,058 42 0 $79,320 $2,000 $62,785 43 0 $88,838 $2,000 $72,559 44 0 $99,499 $2,000 $83,507 45 0 $111,438 $2,000 $95,767 46 0 $124,811 $2,000 $109,499 47 0 $139,788 $2,000 $124,879 48 0 $156,563 $2,000 $142,105 49 0 $175,351 $2,000 $161,397 50 0 $196,393 $2,000 $183,551 0 $219,960 $2,200 $7,206 52 0 $246,355 $2,234,310 53 0 $275,917 $2,264,668 54 0 $309,028 $2,298,668 55 0 $346,111 $2,336,748 56 0 $387,644 $2,379,398 57 0 $434,161 $2,427,166 58 0 $486,261 $2,480,665 59 0 $544,612 $2,540,585 60 0 $609,966 $2,607,695 61 0 $683,162 $2,680 $2,859 62 0 $765,141 $2,767,042 63 0 $856,958 0 $861,327 64 0 $959,793 0 $966,926 65 0 $1,074,968 0 $1,085,197 40 The slight edge. But what if I'm not 24, what if I'm 44? Or 64? Does that mean I've missed the boat? Are you saying it's too late for me? Not at all. You're never too old, and it's never too late, to start applying slight edge tactics to achieve your dreams, financial and otherwise. In fact, best-selling author David Bach has written an excellent book titled Start Late, Finish Rich, addressing exactly that issue. Like all the other books I list in the appendix, it's a great companion to The Slight Edge. My point is simply that there is a cost to waiting. It's never too late to start. It's always too late to wait. Just ask Ramona B. Jenkins of Baltimore, a fan of The Slight Edge. Before reading The Slight Edge, money management wasn't one of my strong suits. After reading and rereading the book several times, I began depositing a designated amount from each paycheck into a savings account, which soon became a compound interest-bearing account. It has been amazing to see the results of a simple decision to consistently save. I hope, like Ramona, you decide to make a slight edge commitment to your financial future. What you do matters. I am as passionate about personal health and fitness as I am about financial health. I believe your health is your most prized possession. It amazes me how many people pay no attention to their health. Do you know anyone who would eat a quart of Crisco or a pound of butter a day? Hey, my cholesterol's down to 239, I need to get it up over 400. There are still a few arteries flowing and I need to get them all clogged, right now, today. Does anyone believe that's the way to good health? Of course not. Then why do we act like we do? You know what you're supposed to eat. We all do. Fresh fruits and vegetables, complex carbs, salads, whole foods, lean meats, more fish and poultry than beef. You know it, I know it, we all know it. So why do so many of us still go out and chow down cheeseburgers and fries every day? I'll tell you why, because it won't kill us. Not today. If you ate a cheeseburger and immediately suffered a near fatal heart attack, would you ever go near a cheeseburger again? I doubt it. It may take 20 or 30 years, but when you add up the compounded interest on all that high fat. The Secret of Easy Things 41. Artery clogging dietary mayhem. Eventually your poor overworked heart just quits, stops dead. And so do you. It has been said that we dig our graves with our teeth. It's easy to eat well. And it's easy not to. It's not the one junk food meal, it's the thousands, over time. Eating the burger is just a simple error in judgment. Not eating it, a simple positive action. Eating it won't kill you, today. But compounded over time, it can and will. Not eating it won't save you, today. But compounded over time, it can and will. A simple, positive action. A simple error in judgment. Either way, it's the slight edge at work, working for you or working against you. For example, if you read 10 pages of a good book today, will you see success? No. If you don't read 10 pages of a good book a day, will you see failure? No. They look the same today. Invisible results. Why do you walk past the exercise bike? Because it's easy. If you don't exercise today, will that kill you? No, of course not. You know what you need to do to stay healthy and feel fit and live a long life. Get your heart rate up, a little over normal, for 20 minutes, 3 times a week. You know it, I know it, everyone knows it. And it's easy to do. But it's also easy not to do. And if you don't do it today, or tomorrow, or the next day, you won't suddenly drop dead, and you won't suddenly put on 20 pounds, and you won't suddenly lose all your muscle tone and flop around like a marionette with his strings cut off. But that simple error in judgment, compounded over time, will take you down and out. It is the same with your health, your diet, your exercise, your financial habits, your knowledge, your relationships, your marriage. With anything and everything. With your life. You see one person eating a good meal, and the person next to him eating an awful meal. One person saving a penny, another spending a penny. One taking a brisk walk, another sitting and watching the news. Is there any difference between the two? Nothing you can see, not today, and probably not tomorrow. It's easy to conclude that it doesn't really make any difference. The difference between success and failure is not dramatic. In fact, the difference between success and failure is so subtle, most people miss it. They hold the philosophy that what they do doesn't really matter. It's not hard to see how people come to this understanding of life. I don't blame them. It's completely understandable. It's just not the truth. 42. The Slight Edge. The truth is, what you do matters. What you do today matters. What you do every day matters. Successful people just do the things that seem to make no difference in the act of doing them, and they do them over and over and over until the compound effect kicks in. Those little things that will make you successful in life, that will secure your health, your happiness, your fulfillment, your dreams, are simple, subtle, tiny things that nobody will see, nobody will applaud, nobody will even notice. They are those things that, at the time you do them, often feel like they make absolutely no difference, like they don't matter. They do. Key points of Chapter 2. If you learn to understand and apply the slight edge, your life will become filled with hundreds of thousands of small, seemingly insignificant actions, all of them easy to do, none of them mysterious, complex or difficult. These are the actions that will create your success. That's what successful people do, simple things that are easy to do. Here's the problem: every action that is easy to do, is also easy not to do. If you don't do them, you won't suffer, or fail or blow it, today. But that simple error in judgment, compounded over time, will ruin your chances for success. It's the little things that matter. As an actress living in New York, it is so easy to get overwhelmed by everything that comes with this competitive business. The slight edge helped me to understand that the small choices I make every moment of every day make a huge impact on my life. Living in a society with so much emphasis on success, I found that the slight edge redefined what success is for me. It helps me to take the next step forward in my everyday life and do the next right thing. I know those steps will ultimately lead to a very successful and fulfilling life. Kara Cooley, Spokane, Washington. The Secret of Easy Things 43. We live in a world where we are bombarded by success tips. Some we apply, some we do not. The slight edge is a lifestyle to me, not a tip. It is a way of living that most fail to discover, especially now in this instant gratification world we live in. The slight edge is about doing key things that are easy to do and easy not to do. For me, my most important slight edge habit is looking for and finding something positive in every situation, no matter what. Life experiences train us to see the negative, our shortcomings, and react to situations. To look for what we did wrong. It is just as easy to look for what we did well and build on that. Life gives us numerous opportunities to grow if we just see them for what they can mean. Personally, reading and applying the slight edge daily has helped me lose over 60 pounds in 24 months, attract relationships with highly successful people who are now my mentors, develop self-confidence that grows every day, and so much more. Most of all, the slight edge has helped me clearly understand that investing just a few minutes a day to improve my life has a compounding effect. I now get up every day knowing that I am on the upward track to achieving my dream goals in all areas of my life, and they are massive. Jim Hageman, Dallas, Texas. I was in my second week of new program when I started reading The Slight Edge. Up until then I had been inconsistent in my workout routines and hadn't stuck with any program for more than a couple of weeks. They bore me. One night I went to bed late and told myself that I'd just skip my workout in the morning. The thought that went through my head was that it's the easy choices I make each day that make the difference in my success. With that thought, I got up the next morning and every morning after that. I'm now in the 6th week and I love my morning workouts. I look forward to them. Since I've never gotten this far, it is truly amazing how different I feel. I never thought I would look forward to working out. Laura Jo Rickens, Mesa, Arizona. Chapter 3. Is time on your side? Time is free, but it's priceless. You can't own it, but you can use it. You can't keep it, but you can spend it. Once you've lost it, you can never get it back. Harvey Mackay. So you walk a little today, get your heart rate up a bit, you lift a few weights, you eat a little differently, then tomorrow morning you wake up and look in the mirror, and see the same old flubber. You have to be pretty well along the path to see any significant results. What keeps you doing this simple thing, day after day? Willpower. It's like my dad, mom, teacher, boss, older brother, minister, self, always told me, I just need more willpower. Really? I don't think so. A friend of mine used to say that people on diets who complain that they lack willpower are usually suffering more from a lack of willpower. Willpower is vastly overrated. For most people, willpower ends up looking and feeling like some sort of grim self-tyranny, and involves creating an elaborate, artificial reward and punishment system. Do you want to change? If so, I can show you how to tap into the most powerful force for change there is. Would you like to know what it is? Are you ready? Here it is. Time. 46. The slight edge. Position your daily actions so time is working for instead of against you. Because time will either promote you or expose you. What keeps you on the path is your slight edge philosophy, which includes your understanding of the secret of time. Knowing the secret of time, you say, if I stay on this road long enough, I'll get the result I seek. It's not a question of your mood or your feelings. And it's not a question of willpower. It's a question of simply knowing. When you enter a darkened room, why does your hand reach out for the light switch? Because you know that when you hit the switch, the light will go on. You don't have to give yourself positive self-talk about how you really ought to hit that light switch, or set up a system of rewards and punishments for yourself around whether you follow through or not with hitting the light switch. You don't need any rigmarole, you just hit the switch. Why? Because you know what will happen. You know. It's the exact same thing here. You walk a little every day, lift a few weights, eat a little better, and leave the penny in the purse. Hit the light switch, because you know it will make you healthy and wealthy, the light will turn on. It's the exact same thing, no different, except for one thing, and that is time. Instant life. If you were offered the same choice the wealthy man gave his sons, would you choose the $1 million or the penny? Most people would make the second boy's choice, the right now money, the quantum leap. After all, $1 million. In cash. Right now. And, of course, you'd be making the wrong choice, and you would have been fooled, as millions of people around the globe are fooled every minute of every hour of every day, by those two seductive little words. Right now. I remember one day seeing a man standing in front of a microwave, fidgeting impatiently as he peered through the window at his lunch being cooked, and muttering, "Come on, come on." It blew my mind. 60 seconds wasn't fast enough? It's become a truism to say we live in a push-button, instant access, fast food kind of world where we want everything yesterday. This doesn't mean we have more impatient temperaments than our parents did. It represents an entirely different way of thinking. An entirely different philosophy. Is time on your side? 47. There is a national progression in life, which everyone knew intimately back in the days when we were an agrarian society. You plant, then you cultivate, and finally you harvest. Plant, cultivate, harvest. In today's world, everyone wants to go directly from plant to harvest. We plant the seed by joining the gym, and then get frustrated when a few days go by and there's no fitness harvest. Taking recreational drugs is an effort to go from plant directly to harvest. So is taking steroids to enhance athletic performance. So is robbing a bank, so is playing the lottery. The step we keep overlooking, and overskipping, is the step of cultivating, and that, unlike planting and harvesting, takes place only through the patient dimension of time. Because we are a culture raised on television and movies, we've lost track of time. We don't understand time anymore. I'm not criticizing television and films. Film is an amazing art form, television is a powerful medium, and in the hands of true artists, they can both teach us valuable lessons about life. Just not about time. Through a great film, you can experience the triumph of the human soul over adversity, the drama of a struggle between doing what's right and succumbing to the temptations of the world, a moving encounter between generations, the flowering of a powerful romance, the struggle and birth of a nation. But it all has to be finished in 2 hours. Can you imagine a nation being born in 2 hours? Meeting the person who will become the love of your life, the dating, courtship, romance, struggle, triumph, wedding and life thereafter, in 2 hours? Of course not. We expect to put forth the effort of a short training sequence in a movie and get the same heroic ending. In a world filled with instant coffee, instant breakfast, instant credit, instant shopping, instant news and instant information, we have come dangerously close to losing touch with reality and believing we have access to instant life. Where's the drama? It's not that becoming aware of the slight edge will make these critical choices easier, because they're already easy. And that, oddly enough, is the challenge of it. This is not about making tough choices. It's about making easy choices consistently. The problem is, making the wrong choices, the ones that will tilt the slight edge to lean against you instead of in your favor, are also easy choices. 48. The slight edge. In a way, it would be a simpler matter if making the right choices were a big deal. If it were a dramatic, huge, difficult thing. Why? Because then it would be obvious. You wouldn't need this book. The challenge is that making the right choices is not dramatic. When the hero makes the right choice in a movie, it's dramatic, alright. Problem is, your life is not a movie. It's real life. Deciding whether or not to kill Darth Vader with your lightsaber is a dramatic choice. Deciding whether or not to fasten your seatbelt is an undramatic, boring, mundane little choice that nobody will even witness. But guess which choice has the power to take a few 100,000 lives each year? Hint, it's not the lightsaber. If making the right slight edge choices were a dramatic thing, you'd get immediate feedback. An entire movie theater audience applauding, cheering or screaming. But that doesn't happen. And that's the big challenge of it, no immediate feedback. The right choices and wrong choices you make at the moment will have little or no noticeable impact on how your day goes for you. Nor tomorrow, nor the next day. No applause, no cheers, no screams, no life or death results played out in Technicolor. But it is precisely those very same, undramatic, seemingly insignificant actions that, when compounded over time, will dramatically affect how your life turns out. So, where's the drama? It comes at the end of the story, when the credits start to roll, which comes not in 2 hours but in 2 years. Or, depending on what slight edge and what particular story we're talking about, perhaps 12 years, or 22. Making the right choices, taking the right actions. It's truly easy to do. Ridiculously easy. But it's just as easy not to do. And if you don't do them, there won't be any big drama about it. It won't kill you, it won't hurt you, in fact, it won't make any difference at all. Not today, anyway. Not tomorrow. But over time? Plus. Liffey old. Simple disciplines. Time. Underscore. Simple errors in judgment. P.39. Is time on your side? 49. The right choices you make today, compounded over time, will take you higher and higher up the success curve of this real-time movie called your life. The wrong choices you make today, compounded over time, will absolutely, positively and inevitably take you down and out. Either way, there will be dramatic results, just like in a movie. Unlike a movie, it will just take time before you see them. Jerry Sanchez, of El Paso, Texas understands fully that making the right choices daily can add up to good things. After reading The Slight Edge, I decided to apply it to business, my job. I didn't do anything drastic, or make any major changes in my life. I simply began to read 10 pages of a good book per day. I also started to think before I made a decision. I would ask myself, is this decision going to help me or hurt me? It was the day-to-day decisions that transformed everything in my life. After a year and a half of putting this in place, I got the position I always wanted at work, and an increase of $12,000 a year. I had worked for the company 6 years before putting the principles of the slight edge in place. The greatest joy was when my boss called me into his office, and said that I had changed over the last 2 years. I told him that I didn't notice, and he told me that everyone else had. Making the choice to make the choice. For 21 years, the wealthy man gave his sons everything he had, including all his love, all his care and a magnificent place to live. But when they turned 21, He gave them the most valuable gift of all. He gave them a choice. That most valuable gift of all is a gift that you always have. You always have a choice. No matter what you have done in your life up until today, no matter where you are and how far down you may have slid on the failure curve, you can start fresh, building a positive pattern of success, at any time. Including right now. But you need to have faith in the process, because you won't see it happening at first. If you base your choices on the evidence, on what you can see, you're sunk. You need to base your choices on your philosophy, on what you know, not what you see. 50. The Slight Edge. The slight edge is like Lady Justice, the famous blindfolded statue. The statue itself, of the woman holding the scales and sword, has been around since the days of ancient Rome. The blindfold was added in the 16th century, in the years leading up to that era we call the Enlightenment that gave birth to modern ideas of representative democracy and universal human rights. The blindfold is not meant to signify that justice is blind, as people sometimes assume, but that true justice is impervious to external influence. That also makes it a very good representation of the slight edge. If you want to understand and apply the slight edge to create the life of your dreams, you can't make your choices based on the evidence of your eyes. You need to make them based on what you know. On your philosophy. Picture success and failure as the two sides of a pair of balanced scales, like the one held by Lady Justice. Let's say you're in a tough place in your life. The scales are tipped badly, the negative side tilted way down. Whether it's your health, or your finances, or your marriage, or your career, whatever it is, you've reached a place where many years of simple errors in judgment have compounded over time, and you're feeling it. You're behind the 8 ball. It sure would be nice if, somehow, you could do something dramatic. If you just wake up tomorrow and have it all turned around, snap your fingers and change it. That might happen, in a movie. But this is your life. What can you do? What happens if you add one small, simple, positive action to the success side? Nothing you can see. What happens if you add one more? Nothing you can see. What happens if you keep adding one more, and one more, and one more, and one more? Before too long, you see the scales shift, ever so slightly. And then again. And eventually, that heavy failure side starts to lift, and lift, and lift, and the scales start swinging your way. No matter how much negative weight from the past is on the other side, just by adding those little grams of success, one at a time, and by not adding more weight to the failure side, you will eventually and inevitably begin to shift the scales in your favor. Way back in the beginning, when you add the first few morsels of positive action, if you judge your choices by the evidence of your eyes, you won't see the scales move at all, and that will frustrate you. It frustrates 19 out of 20 people so much, they quit. And that is the saddest thing I can think of. Is time on your side? 51. The power of compounding effort. Picture a huge, heavy flywheel, a massive metal disc mounted horizontally on an axle, about 30 feet in diameter, 2 feet thick, and weighing about 5,000 pounds. Now imagine that your task is to get the flywheel rotating on the axle as fast and for as long as possible. Pushing with great effort, you get the flywheel to inch forward, moving almost imperceptibly at first. You keep pushing and, after 2 or 3 hours of persistent effort, you get the flywheel to complete one entire turn. You keep pushing, and the flywheel begins to move a bit faster, and with continued great effort, you move it through a second part too. Great effort, you move it through a second part too. Great effort, you move it through a second part too. Great effort, you move it through a second part too. Great effort, you move it through a second part too. Great effort, you move it through a second part too. Great effort, you move it through. The Slight Edge Full Audiobook. Acknowledgements. My thanks go to my mother, who has always believed in me, to Renee, my wife of 18 years and now friend for life, who has always stood by me, and to our precious daughter Amber, who is our proudest accomplishment. They have all been my own personal slight edge. A special thanks to Jim Rohn, whose teachings have had a profound impact on me. It's often his wisdom you hear in these words. To John David Mann, my co-author, who brought his craft, passion, literary magic and good cheer to the project and made our book shine. To John Milton Fogg for his insights and his support, and for helping to get the ball rolling. To Todd Eliason and Reed Bilbray who brought their brilliance to this revised edition. To my close friend Stuart Johnson for helping this book, a dream of mine for many years, to finally come to pass. To Amber Olson who has been the driving force in bringing to light this revised edition. It would not have happened without her passion and slight edge persistence. She continues to make me proud by living the slight edge in every area of her life. And to all who know they have greatness deep inside them, and that it's just a slight edge away. A special thanks to those already living the slight edge philosophy, many of whose stories you will read in this book. They are the inspiration for this revised edition and are living proof of the power of the slight edge. Introduction. The missing ingredient. The Shoeshine Woman. I arrived at the Phoenix airport about 6:30 in the morning. Having time before my plane left, I looked around to see if there was a place where I could get my shoes shined. There was hardly anybody in the airport at that time of the morning. I strolled around. Before long, I found a shoeshine stand. It was open, a woman in her mid to late 40s sat in one of the customer chairs, absorbed in a paperback book. She was dressed in black stretch pants, a black apron and a white shirt. She seemed like a nice, solid person. I walked over to her stand. The woman greeted me warmly. She was friendly and happy, not always an easy way to be before the sun comes up, I thought. She got up, set down her book, first carefully folding over the corner of the page she'd been reading, then took up the tools of her trade and pleasantly ushered me into the chair. Her stand was located right next to a service door through which a constant stream of maintenance men and janitors came and went. Got to be at work by 7, I guessed. As they passed by our shoeshine stand, every one of these men stopped and exchanged greetings with the woman. She knew them all by name and they knew hers, too. It was clear they were all friends. She went to work on my shoes, and we started talking. Her daughter, she told me, had just won a cheerleading contest. Boy was she proud of her. The girl was hoping to go to a cheerleading camp in Dallas. Tell you the truth, she confided, her voice dropping a bit, I don't know how in the to the slight edge world I'm going to find the money to buy her the uniform and plane ticket, let alone the camp tuition. In just the few minutes that I sat with this woman, I learned a good deal about her life, and about her. She loved her family, and for that matter, liked people in general. She made friends easily and was a natural-born communicator. It was also clear that she enjoyed her work. And it's a good thing she does, I thought, because she'd been there, shining shoes in that same spot, for more than 5 years. I couldn't help but wonder what this woman's life would be like if she had taken a different path 5 years earlier. She was well-spoken, carried herself well, and was friendly and affable. With different clothes and a little attention to her hair, she could easily pass for a successful business person. I noticed the book she'd been reading. It was a popular novel, something to pass the time, to survive the stretches of occupational boredom by living vicariously in someone else's imagined romance. There was a little heap of them sitting dog-eared by the wall. What if, instead of spending 10 or 15 minutes here and there, tucked in between customers, sinking into the pages of those forgettable novels, she had spent the last 5 years reading books that were genuinely life-changing? What if that little stack of books included Napoleon Hill's Think and Grow Rich, Stephen Covey's The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, or David Bach's Smart Women Finish Rich? Where would she be today? The shoeshine woman was a hard worker. Good with people. She knew how to read and clearly enjoyed doing so. She was a superb communicator. She obviously had the talent, personality and basic life skills to accomplish a lot more than just living off tips from shining the shoes of people who could afford to buy their kids new uniforms and tickets to Dallas. But she was spending her life building other people's dreams, not her own. Your income tends to equal the average income of your 5 best friends, I mused. What if she had spent time around people with significantly higher incomes than her own? What if, Instead of hanging out only with her colleagues here in the airport, she had cultivated a different group of friends. What if she'd been associating with powerful people, successful people, mentors, movers, shakers, leaders? She could easily have done this. She is a terrific conversationalist. If she had, where would she be today? I'm not making a value judgment on modest incomes or simple occupations. There are people who work the humblest of jobs yet live lives rich in relationships and joy, just as there are extremely wealthy people who are also extremely. Introduction 3. Unhappy. And I'm not criticizing popular novels. But it was clear that this woman was struggling, and as we sat there talking, I'd have bet anything that she wanted more out of life. It was clear that she wanted to give her daughter the uniform and the Dallas trip, things she couldn't afford in the life she was living. And it was clear that it was so much on her mind, she'd confided her worries to a complete stranger within 5 minutes of meeting him. She wanted more, it was plain to see. Why didn't she have it? She's industrious, motivated and smart. She reads. She listens. She is sharp. Where would she be today if she'd set foot on a different path a year ago? 5 years ago? You can bet she wouldn't be shining my shoes. Managing a chain of shoe shine stands is more like it. Would she be having any trouble sending her daughter to Dallas? I bet she'd be sponsoring the entire team, and going with them, too. While this woman with a wonderful personality continued shining my shoes, I was watching her in my mind's eye, seeing her on a plane to Texas surrounded by giggling, excited, happy teenagers, seeing her being successful in so many different ways, in so many areas, making such a difference in her own life and the lives of so many others, if only, what? What was missing? Feelings welled up in me, a mix of frustration and sadness. I felt for a moment as if I were going to cry, and I wondered, why are you so moved by all of this? You've seen this before 100 times, why are you so affected by this one instance? One reason, I knew, was that it reminded me of another character I'd observed before, nice, like the shoeshine woman, a good person, just not succeeding in life. The beach bum. I was born and raised in Albuquerque, New Mexico. My dad died when I was 11, I remember being handed the flag from his casket. My mom held everything together, she was a great, loving mom. But it was still a rough way to grow up, a fatherless, blonde-headed kid in a Hispanic neighborhood, who didn't fit in. I really didn't know what to do with it all, so I turned my energy into mischief and misbehavior. I blamed everything and everyone. In 3rd grade, my teachers informed my mom that I had a low IQ. I quickly gained a reputation for mischief and troublemaking. While my mom worked her way through the years, I struggled my way through school. By age 18, it was clear to anyone who knew me that I didn't have much of a future. For the slight edge, I begged my way into the University of New Mexico. At college, I built on my previous academic career and succeeded in taking my C average to a D average. I did learn one thing, though. I learned that when spring break came, all the students went to Daytona Beach for a week. I thought I could do one better, I quit school and moved there. At Daytona Beach, I pursued my first profession, I became a beach bum. I lifted weights and chased girls. I let my hair grow long and curly. People started calling me Gorgeous George, after the famous wrestler at the time. I got a job at the Orlando Country Club cutting the grass on the golf course. One day, as I was cutting the greens in the hot Florida sun, I paused to watch the wealthy club members playing golf on the grass I had cut. As I watched them hum to and fro in their zippy golf carts, in dapper fine golf outfits, with their classy golf bags filled with expensive golf clubs, I felt a burning question simmer up inside. Why is it that they're over there riding in carts, and I'm over here working? I don't get it. Why are they putting and I'm cutting? I don't get it. I'm as good as these people are. How do they get to have it 10 times better than me? Are they 10 times better than me? Are they 10 times smarter? Or do they work 10 times harder? For whatever reason, as happens in so many people's lives, I found myself staring squarely at a fork in the road, a point I now refer to as a day of disgust, that moment of impact we sometimes hit in our lives when we face our circumstances and make a decision to change. In that instant, standing there sweating in the Florida heat, I came to a moment of decision. I suddenly knew that I'd had it up to here with where I was, what I was and who I was. Something clicked, the tumblers in the lock fell into place, and I knew that I could never go back to who I'd been only a minute earlier. I knew that for things to change, I had to change. For things to get better, I had to get better. I left the golf course. I loaded my stereo and clothes into my 1964 Dodge Dart Slant 6, all my possessions fit easily into the back seat with room for a passenger, and took off for Albuquerque. It took me 6 days just to get to Texas because the car kept overheating. It was the longest trip of my life. The superachiever. That semester, for the first time in my life, I got straight A's. I went on to business school and graduated at the very top of my class. Fresh out of college, I. Introduction 5. Became one of the youngest international airport managers in the country. I was then recruited by Texas Instruments, T. I wanted to be in management, but they said, if you want to be in management, you have to start in sales. Sales. I hated the idea of sales, knew nothing about it and was terrified of it, but sales it was. I worked at T for 5 years and went on to become Intelligent Systems Manager. But corporate America wasn't for me. There was a lot of politics, which I hated, and it did not feel like I'd yet found the place where I belonged. I then decided to start a solar energy company. I knew nothing about solar energy, I barely knew whether the sun came up in the east or in the west. But with 400 solar companies in the state, New Mexico was the capital of the budding new industry, so ignorance or not, the smart course of action seemed clear. And at first, it looked like I had indeed made the smart decision. Within 2 years, my company was in the top 20, and eventually we became the 5th largest solar air energy company in America. I was thrilled. I was on top of the world. What I did not yet know was that nothing ever stays the same, everything is in motion. Everything changes. Times changed. Tax laws changed. Our industry was hit hard. Before I knew what was happening, I had lost everything, gone back to zero and below, owing more money than I thought I could ever even hope to make again. The lesson. The night my car was towed away, I sat in despair and thought, this just isn't fair. After living as a failure all my life, I woke up one day and came to my senses, went back to college, applied myself like crazy, entered at the bottom and graduated at the top, worked for a major corporation for 5 years and went to the very top, built my own company in less than 5 years and went to the top, and here I am, after 12 long years of building toward success, at the bottom again. I'm more broke today than when I was gorgeous George on the beach. 12 years of blood and guts, and I was more of a failure than ever. I couldn't wrap my head around it. I couldn't see the logic, the justice, the reasons for any of it. Was life just inherently unfair? Was that it? Was there simply no rhyme or reason for anything? Was there no point in even trying? That was when I began to examine more carefully what had happened in my life. I had been a college dropout, a beach bum and a complete financial failure. And I had also been a straight-A student, a top corporate manager, a super-achieving entrepreneur in a cutting-edge industry and a complete financial. 6. The slight edge. Success. And all of those had been the same person. So what was the difference? It made no sense. Or did it? For the first time, I began to see that over the years of my roller coaster career, I had gone through a rich sequence of experiences that held the secrets to success as well as to failure. I had proven to myself, beyond any shadow of doubt, the depths of failure that simple daily errors in judgment could produce. I had also seen what simple daily disciplines could accomplish. I just hadn't quite realized what I knew. It was time to pull away the veil of circumstance and look right at the heart of the matter. To go behind the results and examine the actions, and behind the actions to find the attitudes, and behind the attitudes to discover the thinking that held them there. That was when I began to discover and explore the slight edge. Since that time, I have built some extraordinary businesses and earned more money than I ever dreamed of back when I was a corporate manager or solar energy entrepreneur. I've also experienced more joy and fulfillment within my family and other relationships than I knew was possible. I've also discovered new vistas in my own investment and my own development, in terms of both health and learning. Perhaps most important of all is that I've built a philosophy that is grounded in reality, in the way things actually work, not on luck but on the power of the simple disciplines. I could lose it all tomorrow. It's happened before, I'd survive, but there is something I cannot lose, and with that one thing I could start from scratch and build it all back up again. That one thing is the slight edge. If only. You're looking good, sir, looking good. The shoeshine woman was grinning at me. Another customer lost in his early morning thoughts. And another job well done. I looked down, I could see my reflection in my shoes. Indeed I am. Looking good, thank you. Thanks very much. I paid her, gave her as big a tip as I could without, I hoped, having her feel I was being patronizing, and walked away with clean shoes and a heavy heart. She was right, for me, things were looking good, sir, looking good. But why the beach bum and not the shoeshine woman? Introduction 7. While my shoes had been getting a shine, the airport had grown busier. I now walked through a growing throng of travelers as I worked my way toward my gate. I noticed all the faces filing past me. Hardly anyone was smiling. Most of my fellow travelers were trudging with their heads bowed down. I saw bored expressions. Vacant. Porch lights on, dogs barking, but nobody's home. Everybody looked so tired. Failing is exhausting. I heard angry words. I stopped for a cup of coffee and heard a young couple arguing with each other. A burly man scolded his young son to the point of tears. A heavy woman complained about the service, then the prices, then her food, and then started back in on the service again. The other people in line nodded their heads. A few joined her in a chorus of negativity. Why is everyone so down? Everything these people need to know to change their lives for the better is already available. All the information they could possibly need to put them on a path of extraordinary success and fulfillment is out there, in books and CDs, DVDs and workshops. There are people to help them, rich, living resources to guide them, be their mentors, teachers, coaches and allies. I knew that the difference between who they were and who they could be wasn't based on any lack of good information. It was all already available. But why, if the information is all there, all the resources are there, and these people really do want to succeed, aren't they doing it? I looked around the airport as the early morning rush hour swelled its ranks of busy, hurrying, scowling, unhappy people shambling past with no spark in their faces, no bounce in their step. I wished I could somehow address them all, that I could touch all their lives with my silent soliloquy. The problem, I shouted out in my head, is that you don't have a way to process the information. There's no framework in place for you to take in all of the extraordinary insight that's out there and put it to work in your life. If only you were aware of the slight edge. If only you knew what it was doing in your life and how easy it is to have the slight edge working for you, instead of against you. If only you were making the right choices, doing those simple, little disciplines that would change your life for the better forever, where would you be 5 years from today? If only you learned to recognize the slight edge. If only. But it was only in my head. Not a soul heard my words, nobody, that is, but me. That day, on the plane, I started writing this book. The Slight Edge is not just more good information. It's not another self-help success book packed with some revolutionary new best way of doing things. You don't need that. Nobody needs that. All the new and better information is already available and has been for years. This book is a precursor to help you use that information. This book is what I hope will help you take whatever information you want, whatever how-tos or strategies or goals or aspirations, and turn them into the life you want. This book is what I wish I could have put into that sweet and such shoeshine woman's hands. I have since been back to that airport. In fact, I have been back through there many, many times. I have looked for the shoeshine woman, but she is no longer there. I don't know where she is or what has happened in her life. But I do know this, she is not alone. There are millions upon millions of people, everywhere I go, everywhere I look, whose lives are not all that they wish, not all that they yearn for. Not even close. And yet they could be. So I dedicate this book to that shoeshine woman, to her daughter, to her daughter's cheerleading team, and to everyone else in the world who wants more. I dedicate this book to you and to those who have already put the slight edge into practice. Forward. The road to the slight edge. It's been some time now since my encounter with the shoeshine lady, and a lot has happened since then. I have been fortunate to be the CEO and owner of many successful companies. So how did I get there? Well, I've had some help. When you get the opportunity to be around successful CEOs and influential authors and speakers, their wisdom has a way of rubbing off on you. But the main reason for my success, and the success of other influential people around the world, continues to be the daily application of the philosophy I am going to share with you called the Slight Edge. After my time at Texas Instruments and building my own company Sunair of America, which at the time was one of the largest solar energy companies in the country, I went on to build 3 separate multi-million-dollar sales forces, one of which I was appointed CEO. Based on that experience, I founded TPN, the People's Network, which was one of the largest personal development training companies in the nation, producing over 900 television programs on various topics such as family relationships and finance, etc. As the CEO of TPN, I was often regarded as one of the most influential people in personal development. I eventually sold TPN to a New York Stock Exchange company. I then took the principles I learned at TPN to help consult for a company, and I have been instrumental in taking them from $70 million in revenues to $500 million. I arrived at these destinations, not by being smarter than everyone else, not by quantum leaps of advancement, but by consistently applying the slight edge philosophy. 10. The slight edge. The pinnacle of personal development. As CEO and founder of TPN, I had the opportunity to meet with many of the greatest masterminds and thinkers of our time. Influential authors and speakers were lining up at my door, due to the large distribution of personal development information our company produced. I sat with Oprah Winfrey for lengthy in-depth discussions on the path of personal development. I spent a weekend with Dick Snyder, then CEO of Simon & Schuster, the largest publisher of personal development, in his mansion in the woods of Connecticut, discussing everything there is to discuss about personal development. I worked closely with Jan Miller, the biggest literary agent of personal development. I even went to Nashville, the capital of country music, to talk with legendary country music executive Jimmy Bowen about mixing personal development with music. I met with about every leading author and speaker on every topic you can imagine, many of whom made appearances in many of our programs. TPN was making huge waves. I was on the cover of the Wall Street Journal as well as many other publications, including Entrepreneur Magazine and Success Magazine, discussing what TPN was accomplishing in the personal development world. Does Chicken Soup for the Soul sound familiar? It should. This one book has sold over 100 million copies and has spawned several other titles that have been translated into several languages. I was there in 1993 when author Mark Victor Hansen shared with me his idea and dream to create the Chicken Soup for the Soul series. I don't bring up these examples just to brag or to drop names, I do it to explain what all these experiences have afforded me, a rare opportunity to absorb and amass information from the very best on every topic imaginable, and see it all from the catbird seat. We were not just information providers but information producers. What I came to realize is that information about how to become successful has always been readily available, but if the person absorbing that information doesn't have the right philosophy to apply it the right way, success will elude their grasp. You see, there is no magic bullet, quick fix, or quantum leap method to reach success. Marketing tactics are used to pull us in to lose 30 pounds in 3 weeks or make money while you sleep. The only problem? Although some might have success in the beginning, the results are not long lasting, This ends up frustrating the consumer and makes them give up on otherwise great information, that if applied with the right philosophy would have given them great results. What the slight edge philosophy is meant to do is give you a philosophy that will become a filter for every decision you make. It will give you a way to apply great information into your life in a way that will produce lasting results. It. Forward 11. Is the missing ingredient to making change happen. If you understand the slight edge philosophy, then you can effectively apply any sound principle or action into your life with success. And that is a 100% guarantee. In fact, if after putting the principles to work in your own life you don't see improvement, we will refund every penny you paid for this book. I have been teaching the slight edge philosophy for many years now, and published the first edition of the book in 2005. Many great things have been birthed from the Slight Edge, the Success Foundation. www.successfoundation.org was created to provide teens with the fundamental principles of personal development and the resources to help them reach their full potential. The organization even wrote the book Success for Teens. Real teens talk about living the slight edge, and have teamed up with stellar organizations such as Big Brothers Big Sisters, Boys and Girls Clubs, Network for Teaching Entrepreneurship, Just Say Yes, America's Promise Alliance and Optimist International to get the slight edge principles into the hands of millions of teenagers. Two of the people I mentored at TPN, Darren Hardy and Kim Yancey, and many others have gone on to do some great things. Darren went on to become the publisher of Success magazine and authored the book The Compound Effect based on the slight edge philosophy. Kim, along with his wife Sandra, created eWomen Network, recognized as the #1 resource for connecting and promoting women and their businesses worldwide. Another good friend, Todd Smith, penned a great book called Little Things Matter, based on the slight edge principles. These are wonderful books and I encourage you to go buy them to learn more about their interpretation of the slight edge philosophy. Many other readers of the Slight Edge have gone on to accomplish amazing things by simply implementing the Slight Edge principles in their lives, many of the stories we will share with you in this revised edition. Origin of the Slight Edge. Over the years many people have asked me how the Slight Edge was conceived. It began when the book was only a concept. To flesh it out I went to the Mountain Shadow Resort in Phoenix to get away by myself and spent a weekend listening to Jim Rohn and other legendary personal development icons. Soon I started to see an overall philosophy develop from all that I read and heard that weekend. I didn't have a name for it, and I couldn't write down in words what it meant at the time. The best way to convey it was to simply draw it out. 12 The Slight Edge. Slight Edge Life Paths. Easy to do. Simple disciplines made consistently over time. What's uncomfortable early becomes comfortable later. Responsibility, discipline. Value driven. 5% success. Progressive realization of a worthy idea. Finances. Health. Philosophy does. Health. Philosophy does. Health. Philosophy does. Health.